He laughed so hard he nearly spilled his whiskey, just because I asked for a 10% raise after saving the company millions. Like, share, subscribe. If you've ever been underestimated, this story is your revenge. I stood there, hands clenched behind my back, as Mr. Wallace, our CEO, pointed at my proposal and chuckled in front of the entire board. "Amelie," he smirked, "you're lucky to even have a seat in this room. You should be grateful, not greedy." The room erupted with forced laughter, but none louder than his golden boy Mark, who had once copied my entire presentation and got promoted for it. I swallowed the burn in my throat. Not a single person backed me up. Not my manager, not HR. Just blank eyes watching me, like I was out of my league. But they didn't know I'd already been preparing my exit for the past 18 months. At home, behind closed doors, I'd been consulting for a rising tech company on weekends, building their AI division from scratch. While Wallace kept ignoring my emails, I was building what would become his biggest competitor. I'd been documenting every shady policy, every time Mark stole my work, every time they asked me to stay late for the team, and gave him the credit. And I kept smiling like a good little employee. The turning point came when I heard Mark was promoted. Again. Same day, I received a direct message on LinkedIn. "Hey, Amelie, we're ready to make the leap. We want you full-time." As CTO. That night, I didn't sleep, not because I was nervous, but because I was done playing small. I printed my resignation letter and waited. A week later, the company held a big quarterly town hall. Cameras, investors, a perfect audience. Wallace stood on stage, boasting about team loyalty and internal growth. Then, he called me out, publicly. "Amelie, why don't you say a few words about the importance of gratitude in the workplace?" I walked up with my resignation letter in hand and something else in my back pocket. But before I could even open my mouth, someone else walked in. And the moment the CEO saw him, his smile vanished. It was Nathan Carter, the billionaire founder of EtherTech, Wallace's most feared competitor. The same man Wallace once called a joke with money and no brains in front of the entire company. And now he was walking onto our stage right behind me. Wallace's jaw locked. His voice cracked. What is he doing here?" Nathan didn't answer him. Instead, he looked straight at me and said loud enough for everyone and the cameras to hear, "Amelie, I thought this was your last day here. Aren't you coming with us? The CTO office still has your name on the glass." Dead silence. You could hear the tension snap like a wire. The executives in the front row blinked like statues. Someone at the back actually gasped. Wallace looked like he'd been punched in the chest. I smiled politely, turned to the mic, and said, "Actually, I was just about to hand in my resignation. But since we have an audience, let's do it properly." I pulled out a flash drive and held it up. This holds a 14-month timeline of how your company mishandled employee credit, ignored innovation, and promoted mediocrity over merit. And no, this isn't for revenge, it's for the truth. Investors might want to see this. Wallace rushed forward to grab it, but Nathan stepped between us like a shield. "You touch her, and I'll buy this entire building just down to just to evict you." I handed the flash drive to the legal counsel sitting in the front row. HR told me that there's no record of my complaints. This is the record. Cameras caught it all. The crowd didn't know whether to clap or duck. Wallace tried to salvage it. "This is nonsense. You think one little flash drive changes anything? You're just a coder." Nathan chuckled. "You really don't get it, do you? She's not just a coder. She built the core engine behind our AI systems, the same ones currently outperforming yours by 63%. And now she's going to scale it Beyond your reach. Wallace's face turned a shade of red I'd never seen before. Then, the CFO stood up. And what he said next made the whole room explode. The CFO cleared his throat, adjusted his tie, and looked directly at Wallace. "I'm sorry, but I can't be part of this circus anymore." Gasps echoed across the room. He turned to me. "Amelie, you don't know this, but I've seen your emails, your reports, your designs. You carried this company while others took credit. I stayed quiet because I needed this job, but not anymore." Then he dropped the bomb. "I'm resigning effective immediately, and joining EtherTech as well." Wallace's face collapsed. "You're what?" But the CFO wasn't done. He walked to the stage, reached into his briefcase, and pulled out another file. "Also, I've already forwarded internal financial inconsistencies to the board. You've been misreporting numbers to inflate growth." Now, it wasn't just tension. It was panic. Phones started buzzing. Board members looked at each other. One of the investors got up and walked out without a word. The event had turned into a live corporate autopsy. I leaned into the mic one last time. I didn't leave because I wasn't valued. I left because I outgrew the place that told me I should be thankful for crumbs. Nathan smiled and gestured toward the exit. "Ready to go?" I nodded. As I walked off the stage beside Nathan, I passed Mark, who was sweating bullets. He looked like he'd seen his career flash before his eyes. "Oh, and Mark," I said without stopping, "enjoy that new office. Pretty sure it'll be empty by Monday." He tried to laugh it off, but even his voice cracked. We stepped outside into a swarm of reporters who had picked up the story already. And then, just as we reached the black SUV waiting for us, my phone buzzed. It was Wallace. One last desperate message. "Let's talk. I'll give you anything. Just don't go public with the rest." But it was too late, because what happened next went viral overnight. By the next morning, the video of my resignation had over 12 million views on every major platform. The clip of Nathan calling Wallace out turned into memes. The part where I handed over the flash drive, headlines. "Employee exposes CEO in front of entire company, then leaves with his biggest rival." But the real firestorm began when a former HR rep came forward, anonymously, confirming everything in that flash drive was true, and worse. Suddenly, ex-employees started sharing their own stories. Toxic culture, idea theft, suppressed innovation. One even revealed how Mark got promoted because his dad was a golf buddy of the VP. Wallace's empire was crumbling, and fast. Meanwhile, EtherTech's Kichi stocks surged 38%. My name was trending in tech circles. Podcasts started inviting me. Emails from venture firms, interviews, speeches, everything exploded. But I didn't care about fame. I had one goal: build something real. With Nathan's backing and my own team, handpicked talent from the ignored, the underestimated, and the overworked, I launched a revolutionary AI tool within 3 months. The same product Wallace's team had told me wasn't practical. It hit $12 million in pre-orders the first week, but then came the final twist. Wallace sued me, claimed I violated non-compete agreements and leaked trade secrets. He even dragged Mark into it, trying to paint me as the villain. The media ate it up. My legal team? Already 10 steps ahead. During the hearing, our lawyer stood and presented an audio recording. Wallace's voice was clear as day. "Just bury her ideas. Let Mark present them instead. No one listens to quiet girls like her anyway." The courtroom fell silent. Wallace's lawyer dropped his pen. The judge ruled in our favor. Not only was the case dismissed, Wallace was fined for wrongful conduct, and the SEC launched an investigation. I walked out of that courtroom free and more powerful than ever. But just when I thought the drama was over, I got an invitation to return to the company as CEO. I stared at the letter for a long time. The board, now desperate, had voted Wallace out. Their reputation was in shambles, stock was crashing, investors were leaving, and they needed a public face that could restore trust. So, they offered me his chair. The same chair I was once told I wasn't senior enough to even sit across from. But I didn't accept it. Not immediately. Instead, I invited them to my office at EtherTech. They arrived quietly. No press, no cameras, just the same board members who once looked through me like I didn't matter. They sat across the table in silence as I let them wait 10 full minutes, just like they used to make me wait outside their glass meeting rooms. Then I walked in wearing the same navy blue suit Wallace once mocked me for. Let's be clear, I said, you don't need a CEO, you need a cover-up, a redemption arc, someone to clean your mess. I don't do cleanups, I build empires. One of them tried to speak, but I raised my hand. I'm not coming back to patch your sinking ship, but I will consider acquiring parts of your business. At my price. On my terms. And anyone who mistreated me, fired. Publicly. They didn't argue, they couldn't. The next week, we signed a partial acquisition deal. Mark, gone. Wallace, still under federal investigation. The board, restructured. With my people. But the biggest win wasn't the deal, the money, or the headlines. It was when I walked into my old building again. This time as the buyer, not the beggar. The receptionist who once ignored my hello now stood up the moment I entered. The same elevator that stopped working when I stayed late now had a team assigned to keep it running 24/7. And as I passed the hallway outside the executive floor, I saw something new. A wall display with bold black letters. Innovation doesn't need permission. Amelie Brooks. I paused for a moment, smiled, then walked into the boardroom. Because now, they wait for me.